Hello everybody, welcome back to Read and Reread. I am Angelia and today I'm doing a challenge. It's called the Quick to Judge Challenge. It's supposed to be a quick and fast way to select a new book for your TBR, and I don't know, every time I say a video is going to be short or quick, something goes strangely wrong, but we'll see what happens here. This challenge was created by Ali Rizdal, and then it was revived recently by Jess of Jess Book Girl TV, and I was challenged by Pat from Book Chat with Pat. So it's not exactly a tag, but it has begun to operate like a tag, and I've seen several fun versions of it in the last couple of weeks, so now I'm going to take a crack at it. Here is how it works. I'm going to read the prompts and then I'm going to do them. Number one, you pick 5 to 10 books, unread books from your shelves. Then you read the first paragraph of every book. Then you rank the books based on the first paragraphs. You add the highest ranked book to your TBR, and then you can invite other people to do the challenge. So I have 5 or 6. I can't remember what I ended up with. I started with 10. I went around, I pulled some books from the shelves, a few books from my cart, and then I reduced the size by asking myself, imagine if I had to take a plane trip today and bring one book, would I be happy with this book, this book, this book, if this was today's book? And so that's how I eliminated. Some of them are books I really want to read, but they didn't feel like today's book. If I did this video a week from now, might be an entirely different set, which is kind of a fun thing. You actually could do this multiple times a year and it would come out really differently. All right, but let's take a look at today's pile without further ado. And I will tell you in advance that whatever I pick, it's probably not going to make it into March. It'll probably be an April TBR. I will put it in my cart and aim for it that it might sneak in on the tail end of March, but it'll probably be an April TBR book. But I will include it and report back. And something I'd love to hear from in the comments is 2 things. First of all, which of these books would you choose for me? And which of these books would you choose for yourself? If this was your pile of 5 and you had to pick one that you would read today. The first one is a Bridesmaid from my cart that has been in a few TBRs and not somehow made it into the lineup, and it is I Am Not Sidney Poitier by Percival Everett. I love Percival Everett. This one is about a man whose name is actually not Sidney Poitier, which causes endless amounts of confusion everywhere he goes. Let's see what the first paragraph is like. I am the ill-starred fruit of a hysterical pregnancy, and surprisingly, odd though I may be, I am not hysterical myself. I'm rather calm. In fact, some might say waveless. I am tall and dark and look for the world like Mr. Sidney Poitier, something my poor disturbed and now deceased mother could not have known when I was born, when she named me not Sidney Poitier. I was born after 2 years of hysterical gestation, and who knows what happens in a mind when expectant, anticipative for so long. 2 years. At least, this was the story told to me. So typically, offbeat beginning for Percival Everett. That selection is I Am Not Sidney Poitier. Number 2. I don't know why I have this book. I found this book on my shelf. This was a true case of, oh, what's that? That looks interesting. I must have, I don't know. I don't know when I got this. I don't know why I got this. I must have heard it was good in a review somewhere, or maybe, I don't know. But it's called The Friendly Young Ladies by Mary Renault. And it appears to be a book written in the 1940s about, I'm not going to read all this. It's apparently about a young girl who leaves home to go find her sister who has left home some years earlier. And it's described as delightfully provocative, lighthearted, charming, and free-spirited. Let's check out the first paragraph. Very quietly and carefully, hardly moving her thin young neck and round shoulders, Elsie looked around the room, first at the French windows into the garden, and then at the door, measuring distances. Her calculations were instinctive, like those of a mouse. She had been making them since she could crawl. There was hardly any need to look this time. The way to the door lay flat across her father's line of vision. He was saying, I should have supposed it was obvious to the meanest intelligence, almost anywhere, in fact, outside this household. Her parents' chairs were drawn up to the fire. for it was a chilly evening in March, and the Lane family always observed punctiliously the routine of domestic comfort. Elsie had begun her reputation for eccentricity at school by remarking suddenly, "I do think radiators are nice." She thought of radiators as she edged the pouf on which she was sitting slowly backwards, ready for a traverse behind her mother's chair to the French window. Sounds like she's plotting a way to get out of a really boring conversation, out of the room. Okay, so lighthearted and whimsical, I don't know. And number three I've had for a while, and this is in the Authors I've Never Read Hall of Shame, Lauren Groff with Matrix. And I was really excited to get this for like $1 at a used library book sale, and then I still didn't read it. So haven't read anything by Lauren Groff, but I've heard nothing but wonderful things about this book. I know it has to do with some young girl, and it's very long ago. That's all I have. It says it's a defiant and timely exploration of the raw power of female creativity in a corrupted world. That really doesn't give me a lot to go on. And the first paragraph is only one sentence, so I'm going to read the second one too. She rides out of the forest alone, 17 years old in the cold March drizzle, Marie, who comes from France. It is 11:58 and the world bears the weariness of late Lent. Soon it will be Easter, which arrives early this year. In the fields, the seeds uncurl in the dark, cold soil, ready to punch into the freer air. She sees for the first time the Abbey, pale and aloof on a rise in this damp valley, the clouds drawn up from the ocean and rung against the hills in constant rainfall. Most of the year, this place is emerald and sapphire, bursting under dampness, thick with sheep and chaffinches and newts, delicate mushrooms poking up from the rich soil, but now in late winter, all is gray and full of shadows. So I don't know if she's riding towards the convent, an abbey. Is she running away to it, or is she running away from it? Anyway, that's the beginning of Matrix. The next one is by an author who's sort of in the bookish headlines right now because he is a member of the International Booker Prize Committee, and it is a book by Anton, Toward Eternity. I got this pretty recently and haven't gotten to it yet. It's his first novel. He works as a translator, primarily translates novels from Korean to English. It's set in the near future, a world where artificial intelligence and the quest for immortality have transformed the human condition. So, love a bit of science fiction. And here is the first paragraph. Actually, the first two, because again, the first is only one sentence. Something has happened, something so extraordinary that I cannot file it into patient one's official medical file, which is why I'm writing it here in a separate physical notebook. Patient 1, our first clinical trial patient, was found missing. Security footage from the South African University of Science and Technology's closed-circuit cameras has him leaving a storage room and not coming out on the other side. He is in one frame and blink, gone in the other, and the door swinging into the emptiness he had occupied a moment prior. Woo! So starting with a missing, disappearing person. Interesting. Tantalized. Okay, let's see what's next. The next one is a book I've had, and it's another bridesmaid that has been on a few TBRs and somehow not quite made it all the way, and it is Daniel Mason's A Registry of My Passage Upon the Earth. It is short stories that I bought right after I read and loved Northwoods and just had to read something else by Daniel Mason. But apparently that just meant I just had to have another book by Daniel Mason because I haven't read it yet. So short stories that I don't think are linked. So let's just jump right in and look at the first opening paragraph. And the first story is called Death of the Pugilist, or the Famous Battle of Jacob Burke and Blind Man McGraw. And here's the first paragraph. Number 1. Who was Burke? His beginnings. Born a winter child in the Bristol slums, in the quayside heap known only as the Rat, Jacob Burke, who had come to battle the great McGraw on that fateful day in 1824, was a son of the stevedore Isaac Burke and the seamstress Anne Murphy. He of Bristol, son of James, son of Tom, son of Zebedee, lifters all. She of Dublin, and the cursed Gemini of poverty and fertility. Jacob was the 12th of 18 children, third of the surviving 8. Okay, so Daniel Mason. And the last one narrowly missed the March TBR because it is by an Irish author, a book I recently purchased, and another author that I've never read. It is The Heart in Winter by Kevin Barry. Although the author is Irish, the book's not actually set in Ireland, but I think it is about an Irish immigrant. It's 1891. It starts in Butte, Montana, and it's about a man named Tom who runs off with a young bride, somebody else's bride, and they run away, they head west, and they are pursued. And here is the beginning. Chapter 1, The First Encounter. On Wyoming Street in the evening, a patent Irish stumbled by, some crazy old meathead in a motley of rags and filthy buckskin, wild tufts of hair sticking out the ears, the eyes burning now like hot stars, now clamped shut in a kind of ecstasy, and he lurched and tottered on broken boots like a nightmare overgrown child, like some massive obliterated idiot child, and he sang out his wares in a sweet, clear lilting. Potatoes? Hot potatoes? Hot potatoes a penny? His verse swung across the raw-necked street and back again and was musical, but he had no potatoes at all. Tom Rourke turned and looked after the man with great feeling. To be old and mad and forgotten on the mountain, was it all laid out the fuck ahead of him? So there are the selections. I now have to rank them in order of what I feel like reading. Fun fact, the Jeopardy little Final Jeopardy music, they used to play that at my daughter's high school volleyball matches. There was a DJ dad who'd play different music and snippets and stuff during the thing, kind of like basketball game style. And whenever there was a disputed ref call and there would be like some sort of delay where we had to wait and see what the verdict would be, he would play that music. And we eventually realized that the girls had no idea what that was. They just thought that was the referee dispute music. They did not know about Jeopardy or that was the Jeopardy tune. All right, well now I'm talking and I'm not sorting, so let's see. Okay, I think this is my sort. Here's my sort. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Although I almost put this one higher, and then I might decide I want something a little fluffier, and that one could get higher. This one had recency syndrome, so I don't know. It's supposed to be quick to judge, so I'm judging. I'm putting this one number 1 because I'm in a science fiction mood today. What do you think? What do you think I should read first, and what would you read first for yourself? Let me know in the comments. I had fun sharing the first paragraphs with you. Have a great day. I'll be back on Friday to wrap up the week.